Hello, and a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining this first SpiceCRM webinar. So I'm very glad to have you here. My name is Valerie, and I will be conducting this webinar to inform you about technical changes that happened in the latest version 2022-01-001. These are the topics that we will talk about. We made some changes regarding the way how we create the app, so how we compile and deploy the app folder for the front end. Then we will talk about some column names that we refactored. We modified names in some tables, and this is a breaking change. So I will show you which one they are and what you shall do when you update to this new version. And then talk about breaking change and upgrade strategy. So let's start with the Webpack implementation. The Webpack is, let's say, a little framework which helps us to bundle all the files. Until now, we had the framework with Gulp that we use, but now we changed to Webpack, which is more efficient and a little faster. So when you do the upgrade, it will happen for those who already have developed in the front end. Any change that we need in any modules will be, so any changes that we recorded in the file for npm, then you'll be requested to do an install. So do that. In case your Node.js version is older than 15, then please make an upgrade at least to 15, because else it won't work. So these would be the requirements to be able to use our new Webpack strategy. So now, as a developer, there are a couple of things that you need to do. The first one is to create a file with that name. I will show you in a minute how it looks like, and then make a change in the backend URL property value in your configuration file. So let's go to my local instance. So I have the devserver.url. It is saved under my root folder. It's quite over here. And the content is the URL where I call the front end in my browser. So this is my local installation, and this is where I have the application when I open my browser. So when you have that, it's nice. Then this is the config file that we have. So usually in the backend URL, you used to have the full path like HTTP, localhost, whatsoever, to the backend part. So now you just need to write the name of the folder. That's API, and this is the folder right here in the tree. And that's it. So now, as a developer, I will start with the command npm start. Let's say that I start the development mode. It will compile and prepare all the JavaScript files. First time of the day, it might run a little longer. So you just have to be patient as usual as a developer. The Webpack configuration is located in this file, just in case you are curious to know how it works. Then you can get some insight here. Okay, so now everything is compiled and ready. my browser is opening, and as you can see, we use the port 3333. And from then on, I can log in into my application and navigate to where, if I've just edited a component whatsoever, move to the location to see if my changes are working. Okay, so going back to the browser. So this is the setup as a developer. Now, when I'm working on a component and I make some changes, like for example here, and maybe I will remove some lines whatsoever, then when I click down here, compilation is run again automatically. It's faster, as we've just saw, and this is changes I made are already available. Then, depending on where I am, they will be available to for checking for me as a developer. So that's a little faster than waiting for the old compilation way that we had, and that's why we are using the Webpack. So after all my changes, I know how to start. This is for development. Now I'm done, and I'd like to build the whole application. So what I need is, I will stop here this mode, no longer need it, and I would do an npm run build. And what happens during the build is that the app folder is removed, files are all compiled and put together, and it is then created again. For those who knew the old-fashioned way, we used to have the dist folder, which was in between compiling and then minifying to the app folder. So the dist folder no longer exists. So now in the process, you just saw the app folder disappeared. So it's removed. So it's now done. Let's reload the files from disk, and this is the app. So this is the way the content looks like. It's also different from before. We used to have subfolders. Now we have only files. It makes the whole thing also a little more performant regarding loading. Okay, so that's the way how you use Webpack. As a developer, you'll have to consider two important things. Well, after an update, the first one is when you include a template, you'll have to enter the relative path to the template and no longer the absolute path from source folder that the way it used to be. The second thing to consider is when you have some variables in a template, like this one, company codes, then you will have to define it as a public variable. That's important for the whole concept that we have behind packaging. So please do that. And in case you have already custom components and you make an update, think of adapting the path here and adapting the variable declaration. Of course, clean up anything you don't use. So let's say if I had here the own changes and nothing news anywhere, then please remove it. Or if it's just the full import that you don't need, then remove the line. Do the same with variables within your class that you don't use, or methods, so that everything is clean. Okay, so these were the recommendations for developers using the new Webpack. We will provide you with a document so that you can check all the details about how to develop from now on. Let's move to the next topic. We change some names in columns in tables. The reason is that we have some columns that have names that are reserved words, depending on which database type you are connecting to SpiceCRM. Then it could be a problem in the future. So that's why we already made the changes. There is a full list. That's why we have the change request here. There is a full list on the spicecrm.com website. And we recommend, of course, to make the changes manually. So next time that you pull the update, then please go through the list and change the column names, else you won't be able to log in. And this will, let's say, it's more convenient to change things manually than do repair, rebuild, and then have to move the data you had in the public, for example, here in the public column, to copy it to the is public column. So yeah, think of it next time you do an update to this version, or to the coming versions, that you will have to change all these names. It is, let's say, necessary to avoid reserved words in column names. And since we have 3 different possibilities to connect to database, MySQL, Oracle, and MS SQL, we have to consider all 3. So where rank maybe is a reserved word in one type and not in another one, we still have to change it. Okay, so that was it for the breaking change in table names. Let's move to the upgrade strategy and see how to solve problems after an update. Let's say that the first 2 recommendations are, of course, you check your PHP error log. Of course, you check the SpiceCRM log. They may contain already information about something that's not working. But most of the time when we have breaking changes, the problems occur during login process, and it's about the load tasks that is called. So let me show you what I mean. Let me organize the screen. And we want to check on the network, what's going on in here during login session. So this is the load tasks call. And when you log in, there are several configurations that are loaded in a specific order, and this is what load task is doing. Like there are some data or sales documents configurations, all the modules, some repository informations. So they're loaded during login. And most of the time when we have breaking changes, one of these lines here are just red. So you'll get in the response, you'll get the error message. Could be database message or could be PHP message. And let me show you in the database, about the details of those tasks that are loaded so that you know what to look for. So this is the load tasks table with the main tasks, and each task has subtasks like load modules are located in the SysUR load tasks items. Okay, so that this would be the tasks of the load module. And what you can see here, this is the call that is done, which method and which from which class is called now to run the process. So it might happen that you have to make some changes here, or just check if if the results have an error, then where in which method is responsible for the loading, so you can check there. And that's most of the time where you start and where you can end your debugging. That's, let's say, good thing to know what is happening on login. Okay, now we've got, it's a little bit of information, but I think it's the most important one. Maybe for today, I'll give you some update regarding the upcoming version. We will move the PHP requirement from 7.2 to 7.4. So in case you have, let's say, older projects that are running on a 7.2, and if you want to make an update to the second release of 2022, then you will have to upgrade the PHP version as well. This is necessary because we made an upgrade of the framework, which we use to handle and validate all the backend routes that we have in use, the Slim framework, and latest version requires 7.4. So that's why we have to move up as well to be up to date. Next change that will occur with the next version will be the disappearance of this folder. We will remove it. And the next change will be the language selection. So when you have more than one language loaded in SpiceCRM, for now you have in the login page, you can select the language. We will remove it because it doesn't make much sense. User will be prompted to select the language if he hasn't selected any language yet. And as you already know, it is very simple to switch the language from the user details here from the profile. When you have multiple languages, then you have a drop down appearing here, as you already know. So we're done for today. Thank you for participating to the first webinar. We will try to have more regular sessions to show you news on developments, on features, on how-tos with SpiceCRM. Thank you and bye-bye.